I want to thank my colleagues, I want to thank our witnesses, and all who have joined us for today's important hearing on a deeply troubling and persistent issue, one that strikes at the very core of our national values. We convene today in the shadow of a deeply unsettling trend, the continuing rise in anti-Semitic attacks across the United States. This alarming pattern has been brought into sharp and painful focus by the recent incidents in Washington, D.C., Boulder, Colorado, and unfortunately many other events. Here in our nation's capital, just a few blocks away from where we sit right now, 2 young and innocent lives were taken in a brutal attack at the Capitol Jewish Museum following an event for young Jewish professionals. In Boulder, Colorado, several individuals were severely injured in a horrific act of violence during a peaceful demonstration meant to highlight the plight of Israeli hostages still being held by Hamas. Most recently, anti-ICE rioters in Los Angeles, and in fact many other cities, have attacked federal agents, torching streets, defacing property, and assaulting officers for enforcing the law. An attack on our very core of law and order that is related to the subject that we are talking about today. In Paramount, agents deployed tear gas and flashbangs to disperse violent mob. President Trump has responded decisively, sending National Guard troops to restore order and protect the public. Instead of standing with law enforcement to protect communities, Governor Newsom dismissed the deployment, downplaying violence altogether. And this reckless refusal to acknowledge the severity of the crisis undermines public safety and sends a message that lawlessness will be tolerated in certain places throughout our country. Last week, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula released a video calling for attacks on U.S. soil, specifically targeting government officials, specifically targeting members of Congress. Companies tied to the war in Gaza and Jewish institutions were also called for with violent attacks. The group's leader even cited recent attacks here in D.C. as examples to follow. This should be a chilling reminder. Anti-Semitic, might we say, anti-Jewish hate is not only rising, it's being weaponized by foreign terrorist organizations and inspiring violence right here in our homeland. These incidents are not isolated. They reflect a broader and deeply troubling surge in anti-Semitic rhetoric and violence, both online and in our neighborhoods. As the numbers continue to rise, fear has taken hold in many Jewish communities nationwide. For the 4th consecutive year, anti-Semitic incidents have increased in all 50 states. This is not a localized problem. It's a national crisis. We cannot talk about national security without addressing the policies that allowed this environment to take root. When President Trump took office in January, we quickly saw the truth. What we had been told for 4 years, that our hands were tied by current laws, was a lie. We didn't need more legislation. We needed leadership that was willing to secure the border and enforce laws that were already in existence. And while this new leadership led to historic lows in illegal border crossings, the danger we now face comes not from those trying to get in, but from those that are already here. For 4 years, the Biden administration opened the floodgates, allowing millions to pour across our border unchecked. Among them are individuals who now exploit weak immigration enforcement and thrive in a system that refuses to apply existing laws in certain communities, laws that were meant to protect us from exactly this kind of hate and violence. Last year, right here on this committee, I confronted Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas about these very dangers. I warned about people already living among us, people who had been radicalized, emboldened, and driven to hate. And today, we are seeing this threat materialize right before our eyes. These heinous acts of hatred are not only attacks on individual lives, they are assaults on the very principles of religious freedom, safety, and security that form the foundation of our democracy. What's worse, this hatred is not confined to dark corners of the internet or lone extremists. It is now showing up in our institutions, in places that should be safe and inclusive. Our schools and our universities have become breeding grounds for anti-Semitism. Jewish students are being harassed, intimidated, and in some cases physically attacked, often with little to no response from university leadership. This is a fact. This is happening. Literally dozens of people have reached out to my office, people that I don't know, that I have never met, that have said that this is happening. And nothing has been done at some of these universities and institutions. This failure to act is not neutrality. It is complicity. Let me be absolutely clear that anyone who refuses to call out these hate-filled actors, who fails to condemn their vile actions loudly and unequivocally, is no longer a bystander. They are complicit. Silence and apathy in the face of anti-Semitism is not neutrality. It is permission to continue to act that way. And it enables the hate to spread and the violence to escalate. We will no longer tolerate cowardice or indifference when Jewish lives are under threat. The Jewish community has long been a vibrant and integral part of the nation's fabric, yet today too many Jewish Americans are now living with an ever-present fear for their families, their institutions, and their future simply because of who they are and what they believe. This hearing is an opportunity to confront the threat head-on. It is a chance to hear directly from Jewish leaders, from law enforcement officials, and community experts on the front lines, and to ask ourselves and to determine what more Congress and our government can do to respond effectively and prevent this type of behavior from continuing to grow in this country. President Trump has issued a vital executive order to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses and to protect Jewish students. Yet despite these steps, widespread harassment of Jewish students at dozens of universities has persisted. Whether it means improving how we track and report hate crimes, investing in stronger security for at-risk communities, or expanding education to dispel anti-Semitic myths, one thing is clear: action is not optional, it's imperative. Our purpose today is clear: to understand the root causes of this rise in anti-Semitic violence, to hold accountable those who would perpetrate and enable it, and to strengthen our response to protect vulnerable communities that should not be vulnerable or subjected to this kind of fear, threat of violence, and might I say, terrorism. We must examine how we can all work together to confront hate and build resilience. This hearing is a call to action to reaffirm that hatred and bigotry have no place in America, and to ensure that every citizen can live without fear of discrimination or violence. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses, from our experts, and working together with colleagues on this committee to forge a path that promotes safety, justice, and unity. My hope today is that those that serve on this committee, regardless of party affiliation, will boldly condemn the actions that have led to violence against the Jewish community, the actions that just a couple of short weeks ago took the lives of two young, innocent Americans, the actions that have threatened our communities in places like Boulder, Colorado. One thing is going to be absolutely clear today: there is no room for anti-Semitism in the United States of America. Not in Washington, not in Boulder, nowhere. And we will know today where this committee stands. This committee was formed in the wake of 9/11 as a result of the most horrific terrorist attack that our nation has suffered. And we have to get a grip right now in this committee on what continues to drive those that would perpetrate this violence inside the United States. We have to understand and also recognize that there are people that were let into this country over the last 4 years that have a tie to radical groups like Al-Qaeda, like ISIS, and that still affiliate with these groups and are prone to radicalization and do want to do harm to many communities, including our Jewish community. I want to thank the witnesses for being with us this morning, and I yield back.